Hi, I'm Brian from the Lincolnwood Library, here to go over more about iPhones and iPads with you. Last month, we went over the basics of using an iPad and iPhone, including turning them on, charging them, waking them up from sleep mode, using headphones, using the iPhone keyboard, and using the iPad keyboard, turning these devices off, and more. So if you need to review any of that before today's video, there's a link in the description of this video to that basic class. Today, we're going more in depth in our intermediate iPad and iPhone class, which we like to subtitle Hidden Features. We'll cover customizing your home screen, search, control center, settings, notifications, even more about the keyboard, and more. Let's get started. All right, let's edit our home screen. There is a lot that we can do to customize it to make our iPads and iPhones work best for us. So first we have to get into an editing mode, which doesn't have a good name other than wiggle mode. To do that, there are a couple different ways. We can press and hold on an app and then press edit home screen. And you see these apps start moving. Now to get out of this mode, if you enter it accidentally or you're done editing, you just press done in the upper right corner. Now you can also just press and hold on any blank space on your device to get into this editing mode. So now that we're in this mode, there is a ton we can do. First, of course, we can move apps around. So you drag them around and the other apps reposition to move out of the way. Now, the apps start in the upper left corner and go down to the bottom. If you want to move an app to a different screen, you drag it to the edge and then a little further over, and then it goes to that other screen. Let's just practice moving those back. You do it the same way. There we go. Deleting apps is a little different on iPhones and iPads. On an iPad, any app that can be deleted has an X in its upper left corner. So maybe ESPN here, for example. And if you do want to delete it, you just press delete. Now, on iPhone, you can remove an app from the screen without deleting it. So maybe say Etsy here. I can press the minus, any app that can be removed from the home screen or deleted. You press that minus button in the upper left corner. Now, delete app will entirely uninstall it from your device. I am going, though, to move it to the app library. That means it is still installed on this iPhone, but there is not a shortcut to it on a home screen. So I'll press move to app library. And now you see it disappeared, but I will show you later how you can get to that. So let's re-enter editing mode. Now we can create folders as well. You see both of these devices have folders, for example, on the iPad videos and on the iPhone photography. If I want maybe to put together two news apps, I just drag an app on top of each other and it puts it into a folder. On the iPhone here, I will do Google Docs and Google Sheets. You just drag them on top of each other and then release. It creates the folder. Now we can also edit these folders too. So if I press into them, you can reorganize the apps in the folder to a particular order. You see at the bottom of the folder, they have those dot indicators. You can have more apps than fit in the view. On iPhone, it is 9. On iPad, I believe it is 16. So you can have more of those screens, and you would just swipe to see multiple screens and drag apps to the edge to put them onto one of those other screens. Now you can also change the name of the folder. So if you press into that text at the top, it brings up the keyboard. When you press into the name of a folder, Apple uses the categories from the App Store or other information to try to automatically name the folder. So on the iPad, I'm going to call this News. And on the iPhone, I'm going to call this folder Google Stuff. When you're done with the naming of the folder, you can press the keyboard down button or done on the iPad or done on the iPhone. It still keeps you in this editing mode. To get out of editing the folder, you just press on any blank space, and then you are back to editing the whole screen. Now, just like your individual apps, you can move folders and reposition them. Editing the dock is a little different on iPad and iPhone. On iPad, there is space for many apps in the dock. They allow you to add more than 4. On iPhone, you can only have those 4, although you can have folders, and you can have fewer than 4 if you so choose. On the iPad, there is a section to the right with a little divider line of recent apps. And if I want to remove one from there, I just press that minus button. And that is how you edit the dock. You can also move folders to different screens. So maybe this videos folder on the iPad and this games folder on the iPhone. So I moved that to a different screen. There's a ton you can do to edit your iPad or iPhone home screen. In iOS 14, Apple introduced widgets, which instead of just being a shortcut to an app, they're a shortcut to a specific part of an app. So on the iPhone, for example, I have a shortcut to search Google. It opens the Google app automatically into typing a search rather than its home screen. And the weather app can be customized to show your weather at your current location or a location of your choosing. The best you can do on an iPad is swipe from the middle to the right to show widgets in this little side widget view. You can edit it, but it is nowhere near as customizable as the widgets on iPhone. So let me show you just a little bit about those. If you press and hold on your blank screen, you see that there is a plus button at the top. This takes you to widgets. Your apps can install widgets onto your device. And there are all sorts of different widgets. Maybe I would like the clock widget to be added to my home screen. So you press on it and you can see different variations of the widget. So maybe I want the time for a specific city. I've got a friend out in San Francisco, so I can press on that widget after adding it, search for a city, and it will always list the time in San Francisco. You can adjust the order of widgets. You can also remove them by pressing the minus. So that's a little bit about widgets on your iPhone. Unfortunately, they are not available on iPads. So let's talk a little bit about the app library on iPhone. And unfortunately, the app library is not available on iPad. They should totally add it in iOS 15. So from your last home screen, you swipe to the side and it automatically categorizes apps based on the categories from the App Store. And these pictures are live. So if I want to go to Overdrive, I just press Overdrive and it enters that. Now, there are all the apps that I do not have showing on a home screen are listed here. So I have a whole bunch more apps. And if you have more apps than show in the little picture, maybe for example games, you just press and it shows you all of your games, all of the things that fit in that category. So I can press through to one of these games really quickly. Now, if you just press into the search at the top, it lists all of your apps alphabetically. So if you've lost an app, you can't find it in one of the categories, you can go scrolling through A to Z to find an app. And that is the app library. From your home screen, you can search your iPad or iPhone. So to do this, you simply swipe down from any blank space and it brings up the device search called Spotlight, and you can search for an app if you're not sure where it is on your device, or you can do a web search. You can do any type of search. It can search within emails or notes, and the content it brings up is live. So if I want to open the Overdrive app, it opens up for me. So again, to do that from a home screen, you swipe down. It remembers your previous search, so you're going to need to delete that before you do another search. This screen also integrates Siri app suggestions, which tries to remember which apps you use in certain situations and suggest apps you might want to open up. It's usually not very good. These recommendations are very primitive still. To get out of Spotlight Search on iPad, you just press on any blank space. On iPhone, you can press Cancel to get out. iPhones and iPads have a great menu called Control Center, which allows us to really quickly change settings and access a lot of great functionality on our devices. On older devices, you swipe up from the bottom middle of the device to bring Control Center up. From newer iPads and iPhones, you swipe down from the upper right corner. Now, Control Center can be customized We will go over that in a bit. So the order of the buttons may be different on your device than on this iPhone and this iPad. Control Center overlays on top of whatever screen you are on. You see the background is blurred. To get out of Control Center, on your iPhone, you just swipe up, or on your iPad, you just press on any blank space. So I want to get back into it by swiping down from the upper right corner. These are live controls of our device, so we can do things on the fly without having to go into the full settings menu, which is great. So let's just talk through a bunch of these settings. In the top left, there is a panel of settings related to connections and network. You can turn on airplane mode in orange by just pressing that button. If a flight attendant is yelling at you, you can turn on airplane mode to comply with them fully. To turn it off, you just press it again. Now on iPhone, to the right, there is a button that looks like a little tower with signals pointing away from it. That is your cell phone connection. So if you do not want to use cellular data, you can turn that off just by pressing it. That connection is on when it is green. Now, both of these devices have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is connection to headphones and accessories like keyboards. So to turn it on, you want it to be this light blue. When you press it, it might not fully turn all the way off. When you get this white icon, Bluetooth is disconnected, but it is not all the way off. The same thing goes with Wi-Fi. It is on when it is colored with the light blue circle. When you press it, it disconnects from whatever Wi-Fi internet network you were connected to, but it does not turn Wi-Fi off. So you won't be saving any battery life if your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth have this white icon. To quickly actually turn them off, use airplane mode and then press the icons again. Now, in these panels of settings, you can see more by pressing and holding. So you can see more information if you have Bluetooth on and Wi-Fi on. You may also be able to turn on or off AirDrop, which allows you to quickly send and receive information between different iPad and iPhone and iOS devices nearby. If you enter one of these Control Center submenus, to go back, get out, you just press in any blank space and it takes you back one level of menu. And again, I'm in this sub menu for network settings, so I just press on the blank area to go out. To the right of that, there is an audio controller. It can connect to podcasts and the library's Overdrive and Libby ebook applications. When you're doing an audiobook, it can connect to Spotify and Apple Music and background video players like Netflix. You've got a play pause button, that right triangle. In some cases, you can have a back 10 seconds or forward 10 seconds button, or a previous track or next track button. If you press and hold on this, you can see what you were playing. I was watching a Netflix show called Away on the iPad, and I was playing an episode of a TV show on my Apple TV earlier. So you could use the play button to play, and you can also drag the volume controller to change the volume on the fly. So you don't have to get away from whatever you were doing in the foreground. You can pull up Control Center and use the audio controller to control your background music or your background podcast or Netflix show. So again, press the blank space to go out. There is the ability to lock rotation. The lock button on the iPad, I have it on right now. On the iPhone, I have it off. So I press that. Rotation lock is either on or off, and I will just set that the way it was. The crescent moon icon enables do not disturb. You will not get any notifications, any calls. You will just have a device that is going to be totally undisturbed when you have that crescent moon in its purple, white, highlighted state. So I will turn that off on both of these devices. Now you can also control the brightness with the slider. I can just slide it up or slide it down. Now your device likely also has automatic brightness enabled, so this is a way to override that if it is wrong. You can also control the volume with the controller to the right of that. If you have headphones plugged in, as I do with the iPad, it will show a headphone icon. If you are just using the device without headphones, it will have the speaker icon as it is on my iPhone. So you can drag that controller and it controls the volume. Now, if you want finer control, you can press and hold, and then the controller is a little bigger. So you have kind of finer tuning of your volume up and down. The same goes for the brightness. And you can also see dark mode, night shift, and true tone if your device has that. The ability to turn into a dark mode that has lower color. The ability to have your device have yellower color tone during the evening, which is supposed to be better for your eyes. Or on some newer devices, the ability for the device all the time to adjust the color of the screen depending on the ambient light color environment of the area you are in. So I'll press the blank area to go back. You can also enable a whole bunch more settings in here, more buttons. You can also remove buttons as well. On iPhones, you might have the ability to enter a car mode, which will reduce distractions. You may be able to go into low power mode, and you can customize further buttons. There is the flashlight, which you just press and it turns on. Press and hold, and you can adjust the intensity of the flashlight. Press back to get out. Press it to disable it. You can add shortcuts to certain features like the calculator. And you can add a whole bunch of other controls, which we will go over now. So from your settings, if you scroll through the sections and underneath General, find Control Center, you can customize Control Center. Now you probably want to allow it to be accessed within apps. That allows you to really quickly adjust your brightness and use all of those settings we went over. You can look at the list of included controls and customize what you want access to. So maybe I don't actually need on this iPhone the ability to quickly go to a stopwatch. From the top list of included controls, I press the minus button and then confirm, remove, and that removes that control. Now, maybe I want to add the ability to access my Apple Wallet. From more controls, these are the controls that are available that are not currently in your control center. I can press that plus, and you see now it is in the list of controls that are included in Control Center. On the iPad, it works exactly the same. I just didn't have as many of these controls enabled. So maybe I want the QR code reader and the magnifier and hearing and text size. Now, when I have the controls I want, I can change their order by dragging the 3-line buttons on the right side. So maybe I want the camera to be all the way at the bottom in this iPad and on this iPhone. Now these are live, so when I swipe down into Control Center, I see that these controls have updated. So the control that is at the bottom of the list that we were creating is at the bottom in the right of your control center. Now that location will vary depending on how many apps you have added into Control Center. So maybe I want to remove the QR code reader. I press that minus button and confirm with remove. Swipe down and you see that camera moved up a row but is in the end at the right. So that is how you change Control Center. Again, to access Control Center at any time, you swipe down from the top right on newer devices or on older devices up from the bottom middle. And these controls are live. So I could really quickly go to my timer app and set a timer. You don't have to remember where the app is. It goes to the specific section of the app. It is a great menu. Control Center, swipe down to get into it, swipe up or press in any blank space to get out. All right, let's talk about settings next. On the iPhone, I have it just beneath the weather widget, and on the iPad, I have it just beneath FaceTime. Settings is the location in your system where you can do even more customization about your device. There are a ton of different sections. You see the iPad on the left, the iPhone, each screen takes up the entire device. So we're not going to go through everything, but we'll highlight some important parts of settings. And the first that we want to cover is the Apple Accounts section. It's at the top, and it's usually labeled with your name. If you press into this, you can see your Apple ID account. You can see your payment information and subscriptions, if you have any. And if you go back, you can see iCloud and your devices. I'm going to press into iCloud. You can see how much storage you are using. Apple gives 5 gigabytes of storage for free with iCloud, which is a very small amount. And you can customize if you use it to back up photos, and if you use it for other content. So that is the accounts section of settings. Now, if you ever get lost in settings and you're not sure where something is, above the top of the sections on the left of the iPad and at the beginning of settings on the iPhone is a search menu. So we can press into the search and we can type what we're looking for. Maybe I can't remember where a battery related setting is. And it turns out there is a whole menu of battery related settings. This search is live, so if I've found something that I want to go to, I just press it and it takes me directly to that section. So I can take a look at battery related settings. These are quite different on iPad and iPhone, although they both show battery discharge levels and what apps are using the battery. There are some different settings at the top of the battery section. On iPhone, we have to remember to navigate back to the beginning of settings once you're done in a certain section. If I was to quit out of settings and go back into it, it remembers where I was last. So if you want settings to start out from fresh, you have to hit your back buttons to get to the beginning of your settings. Let's now go over the different groupings of settings. So again, at the top, you have search and your account. Beneath that, you have a group of settings related to network, airplane mode and Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, personal hotspot on your iPhones. You've got notifications and sound, do not disturb, screen time. So these are settings related to overall what you are doing on your device and if you're disturbed. Then you've got a smorgasbord section, general, control center, display and brightness, a new menu related to your home screen and accessibility, your wallpaper, Siri and search. So all sorts of things related to the general use of your device and your screen and what goes on. Menu of settings related to App Store and your wallet. Then you've got passwords and kind of a whole bunch of random Apple apps like iMessages and the phone and Safari. Then even more Apple apps, music and photos, camera, books, Game Center. You can list a TV provider for more integration with TV channels, although a lot of people now have cut the cable. Finally, beneath that, you have menus of settings related to other apps that you have installed. Depending on what you've installed, these listings will be different, and each one has different listings within it. So maybe, for example, I'll just look at Disney Plus, and on the different devices, the settings look a little bit different. You'll want to explore the different menus for each of the apps that you have installed to make sure that you have customized them appropriately. We could look at the Lincolnwood Library app on the iPhone and maybe Zoom on the iPad. There may be menus within menus for these applications. And to get out on the iPhone, you just press back. So that is an overview of the other sections of settings. Okay, let's look at network settings. These are just beneath the account settings at the top, and you first can turn on airplane mode to the right with the green icon, or turn it off to the left with the white icon right there. Airplane mode does not require you to go into a further menu. You do have to do that with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I'll go into Wi-Fi. At the top, you have the control to turn it on and off, and you can see the networks and further settings if you need to auto join, or if you want it to ask you to join networks on the fly. I'll go back on the phone into Bluetooth. Works similarly. You can turn it on or off if you need it. Now on the iPhone, there are also menus for your cellular connection. You can turn it off or on. You can turn the personal hotspot on or off. You can change the name of it, including the password, which I will have to do after this demo. And you can see settings related to your cell phone carrier. And you can see which apps are using data and how much data they have used. So maybe, for example, I do not want to allow Twitter to use cellular data. I just turn that to the left. If I want to change my mind, I turn it back to the right. So that is network settings toward the top of your settings menu. Let's talk about notifications next. Notifications are those little dings and little indicators that you receive from different apps, letting you know that something happened in that app. Something was completed by the app, or there's a new alert, like a news story or a weather update, or a text message, or an email. I've only got the iPhone in the video now because the iPad is going to be sending the iPhone a notification in a second. So I could press that to get to it, swipe it up to dismiss, or swipe it down to see options. I could trash it in this case, mark as read, or reply. Notification options are going to be different in different apps, so you'll want to pay attention to them. I'll press the X to exit out of that. Now in settings, beneath the network options, there is a whole menu for notifications. There are a ton of settings here, and you can customize them to really make sure that your device is doing exactly what you want it to. The main section is this notification style menu, and beyond just the style, this is also where you can decide if you receive notifications from something or not. So both of these devices have Disney Plus. The iPad allows Disney Plus to send notifications. The iPhone does not. You can change that at any time. Then underneath the allow notification setting, you can decide what kind of alert you get. It can be only in Notification Center. It can appear as a banner when the device is open, or it could be in the lock screen. You can customize further the style if you've chosen a banner on the iPhone. You can also have multiple of these settings. And now that I enabled banner, I see that style option in the iPhone. You can turn on or off if sounds are enabled, and if the app is allowed to put that number icon in the app picture on your home screen or in the app library on iPhone. So on both of these devices, I will go back to view all notifications from different apps. I really encourage you every once in a while to go through all of these. With a lot of apps, you often wind up with a lot of these menus, and you can customize if certain apps are allowed to send you notifications. Maybe say messages. It's really important for apps that you use frequently. You may be able to get repeat alerts from certain apps. There are further options for different notifications from certain apps. So you'll want to just look through all these. The menus will be a little bit different, but if you want to turn one off, you just go into that first menu and the allow notifications to the left. And those are your notification settings. Let's take a look at the general settings section on our iPad and iPhone. There are a ton of great menus in here to see basic information about your device and to do some customization. So I'll press into General. I'm already in it on the iPad. There are a whole bunch of submenus that we can go into. I want to look at About first. So you can give your device a name. You can see its software version, the specific model name, the model number, serial number, which is going to be blurred in the video, and if you have a warranty, and your capacity as well. So you can see how much space is remaining on your device. The iPhone has 118 gigs. That's roughly 118,000 photos, and the iPad has 105 gigabytes remaining, which is roughly 105,000 photos on average. So I'll press back to go back to the main menu. Software update is another really important menu. You can enable automatic updates if you want to, and if you don't, you could simply turn those off. I'll go back one level. This is where you can see if there is an update to be installed. And the iPad does not have one. The iPhone does. If you wanted to install that update, you would just press Install Now. We'll go back into General. In the iPhone or iPad storage menu, you can see an overview of what is taking up the space on your device at the top. It's color-coded, it's really nice, and that light gray is the free space. There are menus to help. If you need to save space, you can offload unused apps, and you can see which apps are using certain amounts of space. And maybe if I want to take a look at iMovie, which is taking a bunch, or Disney Plus here, you can use this instead of that wiggle mode to delete the app and save the listed amount of space, or offload it, or it may describe what exactly is taking up the space. So we'll go back a couple levels. Keyboard is also a really important menu. You can see options related to the keyboard, like auto capitalization and allowing caps lock with that double press of the up arrow button. All sorts of different options. You can enable or disable the ability to have the keyboard listen to your voice talk. And you can see the number of keyboards you have installed, and you can add another keyboard. There are a lot of keyboards pre-installed on the device, but you have to make sure that they are added to actually use them. You can also download additional keyboards through the App Store. Back a couple levels. At the bottom, there is a little menu with reset and shut down. If you're having significant problems with your device, you can go into the reset menu and you can reset the content and settings, reset just the settings. You can kind of start from fresh with your device if you need to, if you're having some sort of trouble. And if you have trouble with the kind of two-handed way on iPhone, or if you have trouble just on your iPad shutting down your device, there is a simple button that you can press to shut down here. If you have trouble with kind of the multi-handed buttons you have to press to turn the device off. So there are a lot of great settings in general that you may need to take advantage of. Let's take a look at display and brightness settings. You can enable modes that are either a light mode or dark mode, which dramatically changes the colors of the interface. Some people think that it looks better. You can enable this change to happen automatically. That's already enabled on the iPhone, and I can enable it on the iPad. So there are options for that, and you could create a custom schedule of certain hours, or these devices are smart enough to download from the internet at your current location when the sun will set and the sun will rise. So at sunset, this will turn you automatically to that dark mode. I will disable it on the iPad. You've got your general brightness setting, the same one that is available in Control Center. And you can enable on some newer devices True Tone, which adjusts the color tone of the device based on the color tone in the environment that you're in. Night Shift further yellows your screen from sunset to sunrise if you enable that, and you can also customize it further. You can change how long your device takes before it falls to sleep. I've got these to never because I'm using them for this presentation. And you can enable just picking your device up to wake it up. That prevents you from hitting the side sleep-wake switch more. You can enable bold text, and you can change the text size. And that is for most apps. Apple has dynamic type. Any apps that support that will work with this setting. So that is your display and brightness settings. We can next take a look at the home screen and the home screen and dock. On your iPad, you can enable a mode that allows your app pictures to be way bigger, which is really nice. If you just want them to be bigger, if you're having trouble selecting them, if you don't have so many apps on your device, it'll make things a lot easier. On your iPhone, the home screen setting is adjusted based on the app library feature that was added in iOS 14. When you download new apps, you have the option to have them only in the app library, or you can have them add to the home screen. Add to the home screen is the default. If you want to make sure that you find an app icon on your main home screens before the app library, you should have it add to home screen. And you can customize if the notification numbers show in that app library or not. Let's take a look at wallpaper as well. It shows your current wallpaper, and if you want, you can enable dark appearance to dim the picture manually. You can choose a new wallpaper, and you can choose from Apple's pictures or your own pictures. Dynamic ones move around a little bit, take more battery life. Still pictures will have a dark mode and light mode, but otherwise they are just still pictures. And on this iPhone, the live mode, these pictures will move a little bit, which is very cool. You can also just use your photos. If you want to pick a new background, you just tap the picture that you want, and you can take a look at it as a preview, and then press set, and you have the option to either set it only as your lock screen, only as your home screen, or both. Most of the time, people set both, although I will just hit cancel for now. And you hit cancel to get out of this. Back out of the choose menu and back to wallpaper. So that is how you can set that up. Go back to settings on the iPhone. A unique menu in your iPhone is emergency SOS. Since you have the ability to have a network connection even when you're not in a Wi-Fi zone with your cell phone connection, you can use your iPhone with this custom gesture that this screen describes to automatically call for help with emergency services. So you can set this up with the call with side button on or off, and you can say if it is going to play a sound or not. So it's a really helpful setting if you're ever in trouble. I hope you don't have to use it. Let's look at the privacy menu as well. Applications on our devices often ask for permissions to use different information and features of our devices. Maybe, for example, the ability to connect to other devices in our home Wi-Fi networks. If an app has asked for that, it will be listed here, and you have the ability at any time to change your mind on what you initially told that app. So maybe I don't want Netflix to be able to connect to other devices in my home, but maybe I do want it to send to my TV, so I can change that. You can edit all of these different menus if apps have the ability to use your contacts, see your calendar and reminders, photos, connect to Bluetooth, use your microphone, do speech recognition and your camera, see your media and music, and more. But the main menu that people use in privacy is location services. You can turn on or off location services for your entire device, but I don't recommend doing this, so I'm going to hit cancel. Different apps will show their setting for if they have asked for the ability to use your location and what you told them. So maybe the App Store, there are different levels of permissions to access your location data. You can say to never use your location. You can have the app ask you next time, and you may be able to give it either a general location or a precise location. Or you can set location to only be while using the app. So I'll just go back to the never setting and then back to that menu. I encourage people to edit this, kind of audit it every once in a while to make sure it is doing what you want. For example, Google Maps. It is a map application. The whole point of it is that it updates based on your location, gives you directions and information. So while using the app is a good setting for that. And you also want that location probably to be precise. If you're on the highway, you need to know exactly where your exit is, for example, especially on an iPhone. So you'll really want to go through these and audit it, make sure that the apps are doing what you want. Weather app example, you can only allow it in the app or widget. You can allow it to get your precise or general location. Weather might be one where your general location would actually work. Now at the bottom of this menu, you can see the different little descriptors that you may see around the Apple iOS and iPadOS system to show if your location is being used. So to get to this menu, you go into Privacy and Location Services. We talked about notifications earlier, but let's talk about Notification Center. Notification Center is where you can see all of your notifications at once. It's the same as your device lock screen. On older devices, you swipe down from the top to get to Notification Center. On newer devices, you swipe down from the upper left. So this is Notification Center and your lock screen. You have all of your notifications in one place. You can swipe up and down through them to see from all sorts of different apps. If you have multiple notifications from the same app, they may be grouped together, like these YouTube videos. They may be separate, like these settings notifications. You can swipe to the side on particular notifications to see options like to open, and that will take you to the app that sent the notification. Swipe to the side to get out of that, swipe to the other side. You can either clear a specific notification, view it, or manage the settings. Maybe I want to view this one on the iPad, and it just gives you a full view of that. Press X to get out of that. If you want to see the grouped notifications, you just press them, and it shows. You can hit that Show Last button to clear those out. To exit Notification Center, you swipe up. To clear notifications from their grouping, you can press the little X button and then clear. And that clears out your notifications. So it allows you in Notification Center to see all of your notifications at once. You can swipe and it will open up the app that sent that notification. I've opened up the same note on the iPhone and the iPad to show a couple features that are hidden about the keyboard on iOS and iPad OS devices. So, of course, to pull up the keyboard on either of these, I just press into the text and the keyboard appears. Now, you see that blinking line. That is the cursor. Where you type is where that will be. So I can add more text here. Now, if I need to move the cursor, I can just press somewhere else and you see the cursor appears where I moved it. Now, it can be a little tricky if you're trying to move it around. You can just kind of drag it like that, but you cover up the text when you just press and hold on the text and then drag it around. So you can also press and hold on the space bar and then drag wherever you need to go to move the cursor around. You see that little gray cursor is a preview of where it will go. Now, when you are working with text, you also might need to select text. So if I go to this paragraph here, once you've placed the cursor and then press the cursor again, you get additional options. These options vary in different apps, so you'll have to explore them. And sometimes there are so many of these options with the arrow on the iPhone, they don't even fit on the screen. So I'll hit that back arrow. The most common one of these that people need to use is select. It selects the word that is closest to what you had the cursor by, and it gives you these little dots on either side. You can drag these dots to select areas of text. So you can switch it to whatever area you'd like, and you have a whole bunch of options. You could copy or paste. I want to cut. So I just cut that text, and I can scroll up. If I want to place it somewhere else, I'll just go there, return a couple times, move up a line. Again, to bring that selection menu up, you just press the cursor again, and I could do paste. And there we go. I moved that paragraph. So there are a lot of hidden features in the keyboard. You can press and hold on the spacebar to move the cursor. And then once you have the cursor where you want it, press it again to see more options. Let's take a look at the App Store. It is the blue and white A icon. The App Store has 5 different tabs for Today, Games, General Apps, Apple's paid gaming service, Apple Arcade, and Search. It defaults to the Today view. The Today view is the digital storefront, and all of the sections allow us to download different apps. But the Today view tries to encourage people to download more apps by having articles about different things. For example, print your photos on anything. These articles sometimes range from just one paragraph to multiple paragraphs going in depth about apps or their creators or something relevant to the season. They list different apps or sometimes just one app. You can press Get if you want to install one of these apps. If you see an app like Snapfish here with the cloud down arrow, that means that you had previously installed this app, but you chose to remove it. If you want to add it back onto the device, you just press that cloud down arrow button. And you don't have to purchase the app again. You don't get any notifications or anything. It just installs. Now, if you want to stop it, you press that stop button, and it stops the installation, although I didn't do it fast enough this time. So we can scroll down a little further. Paid applications have the price. You may also see in-app purchase. That means that within an app, whether it starts free or requires payment up front, you can additionally buy more things within the app. I'll scroll up to the top. To get out of one of these application articles on iPad, you just press to the side. On iPhone, you press that X. So these different articles will change over time. They may try to be recommended for you. There's apps of the day and different tasks and different seasons of the year, or news items, for example. Also in the Today view, in the upper right, is your account. You can see things about your account here, but very hidden is the ability to see the status of updates. You can see upcoming automatic updates. Maybe I want to update Pinterest on my iPhone here, or update Twitter on the iPhone. And you can see previous updates, updated recently, and open those apps. So I'll just press done to get out. That is the Today view. You can see the app articles. And if there is an app that you want to actually click on and see more information about, you can just press its picture. You can share it with other people, or if you have it installed, you can open it already. If you want to install an app, you just press Get. You can see statistics and information about it. Screenshots you can scroll through, which is great to give you an idea. You can see if it has apps in multiple platforms, information about the app, what it does, the app developer, ratings, and reviews. You can see more, mostly 5-star rankings for this app. You can see information about updates, version history, other features as well. So if you wanted to install the application, on the iPad here, I'll just press Get. On the iPhone, I'll go to a different one that I haven't installed and press Get. It pulls up a little confirmation. You may have Face ID or a password or passcode, or a touch ID with your fingerprint, but these devices for free apps just allow you to install them without any security, so it installs. Back to the home screen. You see the app loading. This is just the same as updates work as well. As soon as that picture of the app spins all the way around, the app is ready to open up. And of course, you could press it and it opens up. And as is typical, a lot of apps require some setup and ask you questions about things when you start. So I'll hit back to get out of that and the X out of the article. Same thing on the iPad, although this app is taking longer to install. So back to the App Store. You can see that progress of the app. Back out of the article, and then press to the side to exit the article. Let's look at the games. Very similar to the Today view, except everything in here is a game. There are different articles that you can take a look at. SimCity, for example. Jurassic World. You can see the same information, but it's a game. I'll hit the back buttons. There are a lot of in-app purchases for games. They're advertising Apple Arcade as well. And there are a lot of paid games. So again, if you want to see more information about an app, you just press it. You can see its price. You can see all the information about the app. Press back to get out of games. They just split games off because games are incredibly popular on iOS and iPadOS devices. Into apps. This is just general applications. Again, there are updates and articles. They highlight different apps. You can see the top free apps or the top paid apps. They have a section made for kids, which is great. All sorts of different subdivisions of apps. If you scroll all the way down, there are different categories and quick links to other sections of the App Store. Apple Arcade, you will probably not use unless you are a big gamer. It is a subscription monthly payment game service for $5.99 a month. You get access to as many of the Apple Arcade games as you want. So any of these ones with these try it free buttons. If you are subscribing, you'd just be able to download those. Now you can see information about the specific app, but since you are not subscribed, of course, you can't really do anything with this. Now, all of these games do not have in-app purchases, which is something that parents were asking for. You just want to be able to play games without worrying about kids accidentally purchasing anything. So that is Apple Arcade. It's $5 per month. Now we can go over to search. There are different suggested apps and trending apps, but we could press into the search box and we could look for something that we're interested in. There's a game I've always kind of wanted to try that I spelled wrong. It still came up. So there are suggestions. You can see the stories. Those are those articles, but I will just press on the name there. You see in the light blue, there is an advertisement. There are paid advertisements for apps in the Apple App Store. In my experience, these apps that are doing paid advertisements are always almost the exact opposite of what you're actually looking for. This is a game that is similar to Candy Crush, but is not Candy Crush. So you just generally ignore those, press into Candy Crush, and again, it's that same interface for looking at the information about the game. If I wanted to get this, I would just press that Get button. So that's the search. It remembers your search, so you'll want to clear out the search. And on iPad, there is the ability to see filters. You can see things that support iPad only or iPhone only. You can filter by price, category. You can sort them differently or see different ratings of apps by age. So back to the Today view. That is the App Store. You can download more apps. Siri is another hidden feature that is really important to get to know how to use. Siri is a voice-activated digital assistant that tries to answer questions for you. You can access Siri by pressing and holding the middle button on included headphones. You can say, "Hey Siri," to fancy AirPod headphones. And you can use the home button on iPads that have the home button or the side switch on iPhones. You can also go into settings and enable the devices to just listen for the phrase, "Hey Siri." And then anything you say after that, it will process as a question to try to answer. Siri listens to your speech, sends it up to the internet, and then tries to pass down an answer. So, for example, I can ask, "What is the weather going to be like in Lincolnwood tomorrow?"
Some bad weather coming up for Lincolnwood, Illinois tomorrow. Down to 32 degrees and snowing.
So it tries to answer your question, and if you want more information about the answer, you can press the information it gives, and it might give a little more information. I'll get out. You can ask it questions about anything that there is an official source of data about. There are a lot of official sources for weather. There are a lot of sports. The teams, the leagues put out official statistics that Apple's Siri can pull from. So, example, when do the Chicago Bears play next?
The Bears take on the Rams tomorrow at 7:15 p.m.
So we can see sports schedules, you can do scores, you can pull up information oftentimes about specific players. Siri's knowledge of sports is very good. There are often topics that Siri does not do well with, such as, how many people live in Lincolnwood, Illinois?
In 2010, the population of Lincolnwood was 12,590.
Oh, it did better than I thought there. Siri's knowledge is always increasing. They typically do updates every year and just continue to ask it questions. It often works very well with Apple apps. For example, I can say, "Remind me to go to the library on Monday."
Okay, added.
And it works with that Reminders app. So I will be reminded sometime on Monday to go to the library. I press behind those Siri indicators to get out. There sometimes are questions that Siri can't answer. For example, if I ask, "What is the meaning of life?"
Life, the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death.
So that's not too happy, and it also gives different answers at different times to that question. So you can use Siri to set up basic things in certain apps to get information about basic questions. There are other digital assistants that are often regarded as better than Siri, but Siri is built right into your device, so you can give it a try. Back on our home screens where we started, there is one more really cool feature that I want to show you. We started this class with the ability to edit the home screen, where, for example, you can press and hold on an app and then press Edit Home Screen to enter this wiggle mode and to move your apps around. But I'm going to press done on that for a second. That pressing and holding on an app can be used for something different as well. Certain apps have shortcuts that are built into that press and hold action. For example, settings here, I press and hold, and there is the option to go into the battery or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or if you hold it for too long, of course, to move it around. So we can do the same thing, for example, for the App Store. We can see purchased apps or updates, or to redeem a code, or go to a search really fast to search the App Store. But I'll exit out. And it's really useful for the camera. I can press and hold, and I can go into, really quickly, taking a certain type of photo, like a selfie, or recording a video, or a portrait, or slow-mo. So you don't have to navigate into those sections. You can get into them really quickly. And you just access that by pressing and holding on your apps. Some apps have these shortcuts, some apps don't, and that just varies. You'll have to experiment and see which apps of yours have those shortcuts and what they do. So thanks for watching this iPad and iPhone lesson from the Lincolnwood Library on hidden features of iOS 14 and iPadOS 14. I'm back on my home screen, and on the iPad I have a bunch of the apps that Apple provides by default when you have a new device, and on the iPhone I have some of the apps we talked about and Lincolnwood Library apps. We've got Beanstack for summer reading, Flipster for magazines, Press Reader for newspapers, Hoopla and Canopy for watching videos, streaming, Morningstar for your finances, Overdrive and Libby for ebooks, CreativeBug for crafting tutorial videos, lynda.com for technology videos, Pronunciator for learning languages, Encyclopedia Britannica, and we've got so much more on our website. You can go to our website, lincolnwoodlibrary.org, to see everything we have, including our quick links to all of our databases, like Ancestry Library Edition, A to Z databases. Morningstar is not available as an iPhone app, actually, but it is available through the web. And, of course, you can go to the catalog to search for movies and books and CDs and audiobooks that you would like to check out. So thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more from the Lincolnwood Library, technology training videos, and videos for youth and everyone, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.